Welcome back everyone to another Star Wars Unlimited deck build, where today I am pleased to bring to you the Hero Boba Fett Ambush deck. And this deck, it's so much fun because it's just pure ambushing chaos, so you just don't know what's going to happen, but you always seem to end up on top, so it's so much fun. So for that to happen, this guy's ability needs to be key to it. So for those who don't know what it does, when you play a unit that has one or more keywords always represented in the red writing, you may exhaust this unit. If you do, give a friendly unit +1 for this phase. That is just perfect for ambush. Why? Because if this is your field right now, and you play a card that has ambush, like Cloud Rider here, you get to pick the order and turns to activate things. So, you can activate Boba first by exhausting him, and giving your Cloud Rider +1, so it's at 4 attack, and then you can resolve the ambush and ram your ambush card into whatever. So your Cloud Rider, that's a 2 cost for 3 attack, can trade into 4 health targets for 2 resources. It's so much fun, just especially because the reaction of your opponent when they're losing these high cost targets to something like a Cloud Rider. When this Boba is then deployed onto the field, he gives each other friendly unit that has one or more keyword +1 attack. And everything in this deck, I'm going to tell you now, has a keyword. So it's basically a permanent +1 when he's on the field to everything you can control. You may just think, that's only +1 attack, but it really adds up, making your units somewhat big for low cost. And that is why we can keep trading up and basically just say, oh, that's a nice thing you got on the field. Go Cloud Rider. Boom, gone for 2 resources. That's a nice thing over there. Go our turncoat spaceship. That's gone. And yeah, this deck, a lot of fun, and it actually can win extremely fast while aggravating your opponent. So one last little thing before we jump into the units, it's quite a nice little tech you can do with Boba. Maybe you've got a Cloud Rider on the field, and then you want to ambush out with another Cloud Rider. So you play Cloud Rider, you can trick a Boba to give this Cloud Rider +1 attack, right? You can then deploy this Boba, and because previously it says on the back, give it +1 attack for this phase, this has still got +1 attack. When he's deployed, it says each unit of keyword gets +1 again. So you can actually boost units by 2 attack for a turn, which is a nice little bit of tech that I see no one online talking about. So you can, and I have checked in the rulings, it's all clear. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But I'm pretty sure you can end up boosting unit by 2 only for 1 phase. But still, that is very good to know. I have done it with my Emphasis Nest a few times to hit into the 7 damage of Emphasis. Ooh. So yeah, good little bit of tech, keep that in mind. For us to get access to a lot of the good ambush cards, we had to go Cunning and of course Jabba's Palace, because you know, Boba lives there now, so we had to. So the leader and the base gone over, we're going to start things off with the units, and the first in our ground units is a 2 cost, it's already been spoiled. That is the Cloud Rider, which is a lovely, lovely, lovely card for this deck. So, it's 2 cost, 3/1 with ambush. As I've just said, because of Boba, this essentially has 4 attack if you want it to. So this can trade into your 4 health opposition targets, and it's just so nice to hold it into your hand. Now, maybe you've got another unit on field. We're going to use this Cloud Rider to represent right now. You're going to play this Cloud Rider. You can still activate Boba, but maybe they've got 3 health, so you boost this one up and then attack with this one. So, lovely card for this deck. Like I said, Boba is perfect for these ambush cards. The next unit we run in this deck is another 2 cost. It's L337. You want to run 3 of them. L3 does not have ambush, but she does have smuggle. And because of that, it's still a keyword, meaning you can still boost her up. L3 doesn't have ambush, but you can give her ambush with timely intervention. Why do you want to do that, you may ask? Because, you, like I said, you get to pick the order of things to activate. So, maybe activate Timely Intervention to ambush L3. So you play L3, the first thing you want to do is give her a shield. Then you want to do Boba to give her a +1 attack, and then do the ambush, meaning you've got a shielded 3 attack ambush card for 3 resources. Oh, it's just so good, just to pop something, and then, your unit stays on the field. Really, really nice. And because of that, and because L3 is so nice, but we can only run 3 of them, our next unit is a 2 cost Crafty Smuggler. Basically exactly the same as L3, but he's a bit crafty. So, yeah, again, you want to try and hit the Timely Intervention. And like I previously said, you can pick the order of how things activate. You want to play it, shield it, boost him attack, ram with the timely intervention. What also works quite well, because they're low cost units, say this is an L3 and it's already on the field, you can play your Crafty Smuggler, activate your Boba, boosting the L3 that's already in the field because he's got the shielded keyword, so you can just keep boosting each other up while also costing low resources. So those in here, your L3s, your Crafties, your Cloud Riders are such good, like up to 5 resources in your hand. They're so good to see. And even late game, having a Cloud Rider just to hit for 4 for 2 cost is beautiful. That is our 2 cost units done. We're now going to move on to our 3 costs. We're going to start with 2 Rogue Operatives. This card doesn't have Ambush, but it does have Saboteur and Raid 2. Why is this card so good? Well, first of all, it's keyword, so of course, Boba can activate with it. But if you boost it up with another keyword, it can attack for 5. Beautiful. And yet again, with timely intervention for 4 resources, you can have a card ambushing for 5. For 5 with Saboteur. Or maybe you've got this card on the field and it's your next turn over and you want to play an L3. So you play L3, trigger Boba Fett to boost this card, meaning you can then attack the base for 5. Even if they have a Sentinel out on field, because it's got Saboteur, it can just run straight past it. Really nice card. I don't run 3 of them for the reason it can't really ambush, but it can attack for 5 quite often and quite consistently. And if you have timely intervention in your hand, it can ambush for 5. Our next 3 cost unit, and a card I absolutely love, is Sundari Peacekeeper. You want to run 3 of these, and oh, it's so good. So good. So yeah, again, it's got a keyword, so Boba can trigger to give it a +1 or another unit +1. Raid 2, restore 2. You'll find the opposition really wants to deal with this card, because if they don't, the restore and raid add up to beautiful damage and you healing your base back. And yet again, you can timely intervention this card out to ambush into their unit by plussing it 1 with Boba, meaning it can hit for 4 damage and it has 5 health with restore 2. Amazing card in this deck. Do not sleep on it, especially if it's like you've played it down your turn 2. Turn 3 it's ready, you can still just activate Boba to boost it. Beautiful card. That healing comes in amazing and really adds up really fast. You find your opposition will then start targeting this card rather than your base. We're then going to move on to our 4 cost units. I'm going to start things off with Modded Cohort. Can't be a hero Boba without its trusted mods. So this card is a 2/4 with Ambush and Raid 2. Do I need to repeat it again? So play it out, trigger Boba, meaning they can ambush for 5. It's a 4 cost, you can consistently ambush for 5 damage. And it's 4 resources, so you can commonly, they play Sabine, you can just play this, trigger Boba, 5 damage, and 1-shot Sabine for 4 resources. That's what this deck's really good at. It's probably the best deck I've played at just eliminating leaders, like straight out the game because of all the ambush and boosting. And that's what I love doing with this deck. Especially when I just hold it in my hand, I go pass, pass. There you play Sabine, I just go Modded Cohort, boosh. See you later, Sabine. That's our 4 resource units done. We're going to move on to our 5 cost, where we've got Syndicate Lackeys. Another common theme, can you see? Is ambush again. Same principle with Boba, you can ambush out for 6. 5 costs for 6. Yet again, this one I have 1-shot Bosk quite a few times with this card, and it's just so good. For our 6 cost units, we've got 2 General Recon, or Icon, I'm not too sure how you say it. This card's a bit different. It does have keyword in Sentinel, so in the side deck you'll see I've got quite a few Sentinels, because you can still play a Sentinel out and boost it for 1 attack. Why is this card in this deck? So, when played on attack, choose a friendly unit. If it has Sentinel, give an experience token to it. Otherwise, it gains Sentinel for this phase. So normally, I play this card out, give it itself Sentinel, while boosting it with Boba, meaning it then becomes a 6/7 Sentinel for the phase. Because it's 6 resources, I normally play out Boba that turn as well. The next turn over, I attack into base, act triggering him, so I then make Boba my Sentinel for the phase. And a card that goes with that Boba very well while he's Sentinel is Boba Fett's Armour. And, you've basically got an unkillable leader that's boosting all units for the phase. That is why General Recon or Icon's in there, and it can come in beautiful. Worst case scenario, you Sentinel himself and he comes a 6/7. Like, you're not going to miss out for that. For our next unit, we're going to run 3 Enfys Nests, and wow, this card is insanely good. Oh, especially in an ambush deck. So, of course, it's got ambush, but this is why it's so good. While a friendly unit is attacking using ambush, the defender gets -3. -3. Oh, so you can ambush with Enfys, triggering Boba, boosting her to a 6, and then whatever they attack loses 3. Yet again, when I played a Bosk deck, I ambushed Enfys into Bosk, one-shotting him, and because they're -3, he only had 1 damage back. Insanely good. What makes it so good as well? Maybe she's out in the field, and you want to ambush with Cloud Rider. Don't forget, they still lose 3 attack, so Cloud Rider can still hit him for 4, potentially survive. Like, Enfys is so good. So we're now going to move on to our 7-cost units, and we're going to start things off with Han Solo, which along with Enfys is probably the best card to ambush out. Why? Because when attacking, this unit does combat damage before the defender, meaning if you defeat it with Han Solo, it does no combat damage back. And with Boba, you can boost that up to 7 damage. So you can one-shot 7 health targets and they can do nothing back to it. We only run 1 of these for a specific reason, and that's because we're also running a Fennec Shand. But if you want to run the most competitive version of this deck, definitely run 2, if not 3. The reason Fennec's in here, because I had to fit the theme. Well, I didn't have to, but I wanted to fit the theme of Hero Boba, Jabba's Palace, Book of Boba Fett, and all of that. So yeah, but still, Fennec Shand, we also run 1 of, which is a 7-cost unit. It's still a very good card. Yeah, again, we got Ambush, and also on attack, deal 1 damage to the defender for each different cost card in your discard pile. So yeah, again, you can activate Boba, boosting her up. But what you want to try and do with her is kind of pop off all the smaller targets without even doing any damage to her through her on-attack ability. But still, don't sleep on Fennec, still a very good card. If you want to run, like I said, on the most competitive version, you want to double up on solos. So with Fennec Shand explained and Han Solo, that is rounding up our ground units. Let's move on to the space units. Starting things off with our space units, we run 3 Cartel Turncoats. Yet again, it's got a key card in Bounty. It's just a 1-cost 2/3, and the Bounty just draw a card and it doesn't really bother me too much. This card can come in quite nice because you can end up swinging in for 2, maybe 3. The main thing I use this card for is because normally I go turn 1, maybe an L3, then turn 2, you can play Cartel and give this card a boosted attack for only 1 resource. I mean, you've got 2 resources left to do what you want with, and I found that that actually comes in very beneficial. So yeah, Turncoat, quite a nice little card, 1 cost, and it still triggers your Boba's ability. Now jumping straight to our 3 costs, we run 2 Consortium Star Vipers. Yeah, again, it's just for the keyword, the restore for 2. It's a good card just to keep on the healing going. I don't play it that much, I normally get resource, just a nice option to have. Okay, moving on to our 4-cost space units, we run 1 Bright Hope. Yeah, again, it's got a keyword so we can trigger it with Boba, meaning we can make it a 3/6 Sentinel for the phase. And when played, you may return a friendly non-leader ground unit to its owner hand. If you do, draw a card. What I like to do with this is return maybe an L3 or a Crafty Smuggler, or very rare occasions, if a Cloud Rider survived, back to my hand, so I can then ambush them out the next turn with timely interventions, and then drawing a card is very nice. Obviously it's designed for Admiral Akbar. You could throw him in here because he's got a keyword if you wanted, but I just found I didn't really have too many units on the field in one go because they're normally ambushing and dying. But yeah, you can do that if you want. Bright Hope, very nice card for the deck. For our next 4-cost unit, we run 3 Azutuk Liberator Gunship. Azutuk? I don't know how to say it. It's just a spaceship with 3/4 with ambush. Yeah, again with Boba, we can make that a 4/4 with an ambush. Like I said, it's just perfect. Ambush in this deck is perfect. Play it out, boom, 4 attack, trade into whatever you like. This is very good as well, these sorts of cards for maybe your Lurking TIE Phantoms. If people are being pesky and boosting those up, you can just boom, 4. No matter what they've done to it. If they've done 2 experience tokens, you can still trade into it, which is very worthwhile. For our next space unit, is a 5-cost, is the Marauder. I would suggest maybe 2 of these, but I've only got 1. It's an ambush, and it's also got a when played, choose a card in your discard pile, put it into player's resource if it shares the same name of a card you can control. Comes in more than you think, because you normally end up with an L3 or a Crafty Smuggler on field, and there's normally 1 in your discard pile as well. So it's some form of ramp, which is nice. Mainly, it's an ambush. You can make it a 5 ambush. To be honest, in space, the 4's enough, so you can end up just boosting one of your ground units. And to round up our space units is 1 6-cost Millennium Falcon, the Lando's Pride one. So, yeah, again, if you play it from your hand, it's got ambush, it has got smuggle, but I mainly do it for the ambush. You can boost it to 6 attack in space ambush, which is more, unless like the big capital ships, is more than enough to take down whatever you need out there. Yeah, again, you can go for 2 of these if you want. I'm thinking of running 2, but I just found 1 is enough at the moment. But I would not blame any of you if you did decide, you know what, I want 2 of these. So if our space unit's done, let's move on to the events and upgrades. We're going to start things off with a 1 disarm, which is a 1 cost. To be honest, this is only in here because I don't have another of a certain card, which I'll explain later. But still, give an enemy unit -4 for this phase attack is still beautiful. I like to run it on leaders and just making their leaders basically do nothing for the turn. Or, which I quite commonly use it for, is if they play a Sentinel out, I just do this, make the Sentinel basically have 0 attack, and just ambush into it with a Cloud Rider, clearing it out for me. Or maybe a modded cohort, so then the modded cohort survives, and then I still have a 4 attack unit for my next turn. Like, why wouldn't I? Disarm is nice, you can remove it for whatever you feel like's right for the deck, and I would if I had a certain other card. Okay, we're going to move on to our next 1 cost unit, and that is Free of Timely Intervention. Insane card, run free, must run free. I know basically everything has ambush in this deck, but for those that don't have ambush, this card provides it with ambush for only 1 resource. Like I said, I like my turn 2 running my Crafty Smugglers or my Elfries with this to give it ambush plus 1 attack with a shield, meaning you can just trade into basically 90% of the things they play out on turn 2 and your unit survives. Like, it's a no-brainer for me. I like doing it with Sundari Peacekeeper, like I said, and Rogue Operative. This card's nuts. You can run it. And it also basically lets you to run any kind of space units with a keyword, because you can just ambush it. Another thing that's beautiful about this card, maybe your starting hand has loads of ambush cards already. You can smuggle it out for 2. Like, I love this card. Timely Intervention's in a nuts card. You're starting to see it a lot more in my decks, especially in an ambush themed deck. Moving on to our 2 costs events and upgrades, we've got 1 Boba Fett's armor. This is the card I would have 2 of instead of disarm. So why is this card in here? Well, for a start, it can make your 4/7 Boba a 6/9 Boba. And what else does it do? If attached to Boba Fett, it prevents 2 of that damage. So if you do that, give him Boba Fett's armor and activate General Recon or Rikon and make Boba Sentinel, you have a 6/9 Sentinel that has 2 damage reduction on it. Lovely little combo to see out games, especially because how beefy that Boba is. He just ends up one-shotting basically everything. I have as well before actually put this onto Rogue Operative, so then Rogue Operative swings for 6 attack, has 6 health with Saboteur. Both its armor is really good. I'd run 2 of them and get rid of that disarm if I could. So for our next 2 cost event and upgrade, we have got Surprise Strike. Nuts card, attack unit, give it +3 for this attack. Because this deck is very much ambush and go. That +3 for anything that survives is beautiful. Especially if you've got like a Rogue Operative left on the field, or, well, to be honest, anything. Because you can play out, say I've got Sundari Peacekeeper on the field, and it's an attack. I can play out, say, an L3, activate Boba, boosting this up to 2 attack for the turn. Activate Surprise Strike, put up to 5 with the Ray 2. That Sundari Peacekeeper then attack for 7 with Restore 2. Like, Surprise Strike is an unbelievable card, and within this deck, it's a definite must. Run free, do it. We're now going to move on to our 3 costs. We've got 2 Spare the Targets. It's a better waylay. Return enemy non-leader to its owner's hand and then collect the unit's bounty. You don't normally end up collecting a bounty, but still, to be able to bounce something off their side of the field to the hand is nice. You don't want to do it too much because you kind of want to ambush, but maybe there's something out there that's a bit too big, or they've upgraded something too much, you can just get rid of it. So to round it up, we run 2 Strike Trues, mainly because there's not much removal in this deck except for our Spare the Targets and Strike True. So it's very nice to have. You'd be surprised how often this can come in nice, especially because we do often have units surviving. So maybe we have a Syndicate Lackey on field, you can just do 5 damage to a unit, or maybe we have a Crafty Smuggler survive, do 2. What I found is I do quite often with this card is normally ambush out with Cloud Rider. Cloud Rider goes down, does 4 damage to maybe a big unit on their side of the field. Then activate Strike True on Crafty, doing another 2 damage to them, removing it from the play. So that is the main deck. We're now going to go over the side deck. I run another Rogue Operative, so if you feel like you need another just unit on field, maybe they're dragging it out, maybe they're running lots of Sentinels, have this in there for the Saboteurs. We then run 3 Gamorrean Guards. So maybe you're playing a really aggressive deck and your ambushing just isn't working. You can play these out, and because it has Sentinel as a keyword, you can boost it to a 5 attack, 4 health Sentinel. Ooh, I found there's loads of Sentinel options you can do, but that 4 health just makes it just that little bit too big for your opposition to deal with. And because of the 5 attack, it can normally just take 2 or 3 units out. Then going to run another Bright Hope if you need that little bit more presence and space. For our next card, we run 3 Spark of Rebellions. You can't really run a Hero Cunning deck without them. Always a good card within this deck. I found just within this deck, because you want to ambush and go, is a bit too slow for the main. But if you're playing someone who's trying to slow you up, trying to be more methodical, really slowing you down, you can hit key cards out their hand. We run a 3rd Strike True, just that little bit more removal. Feel like you need that little bit more. There's the 3rd, and the same with Spare the Target. Just that 3rd piece of removal to help against these decks, slowing you up. So, that is my Boba Fett Hero Ambush deck. This deck is so much fun. Like, I couldn't believe how much fun I was having. Like, with the locals, people get all excited, like, I do this, play this card. And I'm just like, okay, here's my 2 cost ambush. Gonna trade in with, like, your 4 or 5 cost card. With locals, last time I went 4 in 1 with this deck somehow. I think I was probably getting lucky, but it's just good, fun, themed deck. The ambushing and upon ambushing is really nice. You actually have to really think about the order you play certain cards as well. For matchups, I find it really good against other aggression decks because they're normally playing out these lower health targets. You can just keep one-shotting. Things to watch out for. Control can be an issue if they play out these big body Sentinels that you sometimes take 2 or maybe 3 ambushes to get rid of. And that's when you're not really going to be beneficial. So what you're trying to do is basically trade one up all the time. So what I mean by trade up is like your 2 cost Cloud Rider wants to hit something that costs 3 resources or more if possible. That way you're always kind of winning the resource race and you can kind of just get board advantage quicker. Let me know what you think of this deck. If you'd make any changes or suggest any other sort of cards you could put in there, let me know in the comments. I'm very intrigued. This deck is very open to anything. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I should catch you in the next one.